IG model claims Offset wanted her to set up Stefon Diggs. So you got this IG model exposing her and Offset's DM messages. I'm starting to believe some of these celebrity dudes is slow, cause how many times is these joints gonna expose these niggas' messages before they stop messaging these joints?
Cardi was literally just on the Spaces maybe a week or two ago, talking about how she was scared and how Offset is like harassing her, and it's very much so giving Offset is obsessed, and this just further proves it. So first off, shout out to the Daily Hip Hop Tea, because this is where I first seen the story. If you go ahead and look at my repost, you can go watch their video. But so apparently an IG model came out and released proof that Offset...
Listen to this wild situation. An IG model named Jordan just put Offset on blast, accusing him of trying to arrange some kind of setup involving Stefon Diggs, and the screenshots she posted had everybody squinting at their screens trying to decode what was really being said. She claimed Offset keeps bothering her and calling her phone, supposedly asking her to help with this so-called setup, and she even threw in that sarcastic line about Superintendent Shrimp, which had the internet going crazy. It's messy from every angle, and everybody online was trying to figure out what each shorthand meant because the whole thing looked coded. When he wrote IAN, Jordan claims he was talking about her, like he was saying she didn't handle whatever they had previously discussed. And let's be real, these are text fragments. If anything was going on, these messages are probably just a tiny slice of a bigger conversation that happened off camera. Folks forget these influencers and celebrities talk way more than what ends up in a screenshot. Then the line "give, drop, or don't come back around" had people raising their eyebrows because it sounded like he wanted a location or some info. The vibe came off like he was frustrated and pressing her for something, which immediately had the internet throwing out theories and treating this whole thing like a crime board. The tone felt pushy, and her responses made it look like she was uncomfortable with whatever he was asking. Now, to keep it fair and clean, no one knows the full context and there's no proof of a real setup happening. But the way those messages read definitely sparked suspicion, especially since Jordan claimed he was getting impatient and acting like she owed him something. The whole thing blew up fast, and people are dissecting every word like it's a secret code waiting to be cracked. Her message saying, "make sure I'm nowhere near," sounded way deeper than people tried to make it. A few folks online were convinced Offset was trying to hook Stefon up with this model just to spark some drama or cheat, but that line didn't match that storyline at all. When someone says, "make sure I'm nowhere near," that doesn't sound like sneaking around for flirting or cheating. It sounds like she didn't want to be anywhere close to whatever he was planning to do, and that points to something way more serious than a messy relationship situation. Then Offset hit her with "now," and honestly, that word could mean anything. Only the two of them know what that meant in their private conversation, because the way these messages are chopped up, everybody is guessing in the dark and filling in blanks that might not even be real. When she told him delete these texts and he replied with "finna now send," that gave the internet a whole new direction because it read like he wanted to move the conversation somewhere else, like switching to another app or hitting him on some alternative account where things disappear faster. That gave the whole thing a shady vibe, at least from the screenshots alone. But from a real world standpoint, this wouldn't hold up legally. There's no name spelled out, no clear context, no details about what was supposedly happening, and everything looks halfway coded. If someone tried to bring this in front of a judge, they'd get laughed out the building unless she had more solid proof stored somewhere else. Screenshots like this raise eyebrows online, but they're not enough to build a full case without something stronger backing them up. Everything here is still alleged, including the way these texts look and anyone's interpretation of them. Jordan also dropped another message thread that had people staring at their phones like, what is going on? In this set, Offset looked like he was warning her about something, and the tone was way more intense than the first screenshot she shared. She captioned it "tender off the bone," and the messages showed Offset telling her, "get back, gang." She answered with a kissy emoji, and then he hit her with, "you should go back home to Tampa. You can't go nowhere here. Work nothing. You will see." That line had the internet losing it because it sounded like he was basically telling her she doesn't have any space to move around if she stays where she is. She tried brushing it off with, "I'll be all right, boo." But then he wrote, "all owners," which confused everyone because nobody knew what that meant. The whole thread read like pieces of a coded conversation. Then she clapped back with, "You should go back home to your kids." Oh, wait. That response had a sharp edge, like she was calling him out directly and letting him know she wasn't scared of his tone. So the big question people started asking was whether he was trying to threaten her because she didn't deliver whatever he expected her to do. Everything is still allegedly tied together, but the vibe in those texts looked aggressive enough for people to start connecting dots. What made this hit even harder is the timing, because just a couple of weeks ago, Cardi B went on Spaces and said she was genuinely worried about the way Offset had been acting. She said she felt scared and even feared for her safety because he had been crossing lines and behaving in ways she'd never seen before. Hearing that from Cardi and then seeing these messages from Jordan made folks feel like something around all of this is way more serious than a simple argument or misunderstanding. This whole situation is nothing to joke about, and that point stands solid. When emotions run high, rejection hits hard, and some folks lose control, things can spiral fast. We've all seen real-life cases where someone couldn't handle a breakup and the situation turned toxic in dangerous ways. I'm not saying Offset would cross into anything extreme, but patterns like this can't be ignored when the behavior starts looking unpredictable. People online keep trying to brush off what this model is saying, acting like she's reaching, but that doesn't make sense when you put all the pieces side by side. Her messages aren't harmless, and pairing them with what Cardi explained recently makes the whole thing look way more serious than some casual drama. Those are major red flags popping up all over the place, and pretending they don't exist would be reckless. Nobody needs to take this lightly, not when two different people are describing behavior that feels off. If anything, this is exactly the type of situation where people should stay alert rather than laughing it off or dismissing it like gossip. Hopefully things calm down before anything escalates further, because right now it's clear Offset needs support, guidance, or something to get himself centered again. Losing Cardi hit him hard, and everybody can see that, but that doesn't excuse acting destabilized or putting others in uncomfortable positions. If he wants things to change, he has to get himself together and deal with the breakup in a way that doesn't drag everyone else into the chaos. He treated Cardi terribly, and everyone knows it wasn't some small mistake. He messed up over and over, and now he's dealing with the fallout of everything he built himself. When you keep doing people wrong, eventually it comes back around, and that's exactly where he's at right now. At this point, he needs real counseling, real therapy, and real work on himself if he actually wants to get past this breakup and whatever deeper issues he's been carrying around. This isn't a situation someone can just shake off. He needs a professional to help him unpack his behavior before it gets worse or spills onto more people around him. Acting unstable or reckless after a breakup isn't a good look, and he has to handle that instead of dragging folks into messy conversations and questionable text threads. Now, I'm curious what you think, because this whole situation is loud. Do you believe what the model said? Do you think those messages were connected to something harmful towards Stefon Diggs? Or do you feel like this is getting blown up bigger than it should? Drop your thoughts, because this entire thing is wild and people are split on what really happened.
Cardi was literally just on the Spaces maybe a week or two ago, talking about how she was scared and how Offset is like harassing her, and it's very much so giving Offset is obsessed, and this just further proves it. So first off, shout out to the Daily Hip Hop Tea, because this is where I first seen the story. If you go ahead and look at my repost, you can go watch their video. But like, yeah, so apparently an IG model came out and released proof that Offset has been trying to get her to set up Stefon Diggs. Like, that is weird, and that is sick AF. Like, Offset has been harassing Cardi for the longest. You harassed her throughout her whole pregnancy. Now that she has had a beautiful baby boy, you're still harassing her. Like, I just don't understand it. What makes it even more sick is when you realize the fact that they're getting divorced, the fact that they broke up, the fact that they are not together, is because Offset habitually cheated on Cardi. And now that she's moved on, finally, you doing all this, like, you need help, like, you're sick. Like, it's very much so giving, like, I don't want you, but I don't want nobody else to have you. Which, girl, like, that is really scary when you sit and think about it. Like, and look how Stefon looks at it. I just love this for Cardi. I love this for Cardi. I love not the whole situation with Offset, because that is wild. Like, this whole situation is so crazy, and it's put them in a straight jacket, put him in a 5150 hole, put him in somebody's psychiatrist chair, and with a straight jacket. He's off his rockers. Not Offset off rockers. Like, you're crazy. But then again, good Lord, I see why you upset. Look at, like, I see why you mad. Like, Baby, the good Lord took his time with Stefon Diggs. That is one gorgeous man. Like, finger licking good, but no. Like, I definitely pray for Cardi. Like, I pray that God keeps, his hand over her kids, her new baby, like that whole situation. Because this is real. Like, it's scary. Like, it's scary. Like, I remember earlier in the year, when Cardi was saying how Offset had like threatened her friends and was like, I think he either talked about or did get one of her friends touched. Like, it's just like a lot with this man. And I don't know, men are just like, it don't, like, you ruined this. You messed this up. And you really like harassing and antagonizing this girl because she finally had enough and she's happy. And wow. I really, really, really wish more men in the industry would speak out. Not men like Joe Budden, who said Cardi moved on to, like, not men like the real men in the industry would speak out against stuff like this. Because this is really sick. And no shade at this point, if Stefon went ahead and made a call, or Cardi went ahead and made a call, and whatever happened, like, it would be justified. They wouldn't be in the wrong, because, like, sit and think about this. Just sit and think about, like, really think about this. This is really scary. Like, it's really scary for a woman to go through something like this. Like, for real, for real.